Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Podcast. I'm Ross Benjamin. As always, every Monday, I'm joined by that handsome gentleman on the other side of me, Mr. Doug Upstone. He resides in the warm and I should say hot, sunny state of Arizona. And he's with a company called Dot Sports Service, who's been around forever and a day. Doug, it's been a great run for you over the course of this year in sports. I know that we've been crying on each other's shoulder over yesterday's results a little bit of bad luck for both of us. But in any event, Doug, how are you?
Well, Ross, now that we talked it all out, I'm doing much better. And so Ross and I were comparing notes, and just so not to have any secrets here. He was talking, well, we both had Buffalo plus 3.5 yesterday, and he had Cincinnati. So that's 2 overtime losers for us. And I had Cleveland with a 24-3 lead that failed to cover. So but you know what? That's sports betting. Okay. You have to let it go at some point. Otherwise it'll drive you nuts. And we move on. And, hey, and cue the Andy Williams music. It's the most wonderful time of the year.
It is, man. It's the holidays, baby. And you know what's good? This is our college football betting edition. Screw the NFL right now. It's college football bowl season is upon us, and we're going to give you a college football bowl selection on the Saturday card. Before we get to that, though, Doug, just a couple tidbits here on college football bowl handicapping. Couple things that we have to contend with this year and in recent years, actually, that we didn't have to in the past. Namely, number one is the fact that a lot of these, not a lot, but we're dealing with players that are opting out now over the last 2 years to 3 years.
Yeah, I think it's 3.
Yeah, 3 years. The tendency now is if you're not playing for a national championship or in a major bowl game, you're in your draft status is high. You're advised by many to just opt out of any bowl game that's not of any significance. And so you have to factor that in. And then, as always, at this time of year, it's nothing we're not used to, is we see a lot of coaches getting fired and an interim coach taking over. Or we see a coach going to greener pastures, namely, for example, like the Louisiana Lafayette situation with Billy Napier going elsewhere. His team's playing this week. Brian Kelly going from Notre Dame to LSU. Now, having said that, big distinct difference there, because Notre Dame hired in-house with their defensive coordinator taking over, which I think is a huge advantage in that regard. But just your thoughts on those couple points, or anything else you want to add in that regard, Doug?
I will do both. Is that, obviously when it first happened, I don't remember who the first player, there's your trivia question. Who's the first player to opt out of a bowl game? But, I don't have a problem with it, because if coaches can do it, why can't players? Okay. And face it. Yes, they get scholarships and everything else, but now they also are going to get paid. Okay. By somebody. So it's a brand new world. It makes it harder. And that's why, for example, let's just say there used to be during the bowl season, I think at least enough different people thought this way, get your action in early, because you're going to get the best number, presumably, okay, by doing that. And so you'll have the best advantage. That is less the case now, okay? And so it makes more sense, because these opt-outs now, and Ross, you know this, and I think everybody that's watching this video knows this, they're not just all at the beginning, okay? A team can practice, go right up to where their travel date is to go to the bowl game. And if some guy gets nicked, or he starts talking to somebody, that potential agent, even though he's not supposed to, yeah, he might just say, you know what? And it's happened just before you go, just say, you know what? I'm not playing. Okay. So that changes a lot of dynamics. And all of a sudden you'll see the wild swings and spread then because of that. So that's something else you have to consider. And I'd like to at least, I wrote an article, and I've written many articles about different bowl tips, but I'm going to throw one at you that,
Sure.
that I like to do and what I would recommend. One of the things to do, follow bowl results as they go day by day. And inevitably there's a conference or two that plays really well or plays really bad. And then as you get deeper into the bowl season, you track that. Now, you're not going to win every time, but you're going to win more often than you lose because you know that information. So, for example, I think it was, I don't think it was last year, but I think the year before, the conference that had the best bowl record and the best spread record was the Sun Belt. Okay. Yeah. Now they're playing, obviously they're not playing on New Year's Day or even New Year's Eve day, but I mean, they did great. I want to say they went 6-2 or 5-2, something like that, or 5-1, whatever it was, they did great. So if you have that information, okay, and if you're following it, that can be beneficial to you. Another thing I like to do is to track numbers. And specifically what I mean by that is point spread ranges, 0 to 3, 3.5 to 7, 7.5 to 10, and 10 plus. And keep track of what's happening in all of those to see if there's edges that are occurring. And the same thing with totals, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, keep track of those because you can find things that pop up, and every year is different. So that's why if you follow those, again, you could get yourself an edge potentially when that comes up.
Yeah, it's all good points. And I know for a while there, underdogs of 10 or greater in bowl season were doing awfully well. Now, I know that's leveled off quite a bit over the last few years, but again, all good points. Yeah, there was some pretty good teams in the Sun Belt over the last couple of years. Louisiana Lafayette this year, but they've been good for quite a while. We had Coastal Carolina step up last year. You also, Arkansas State was a very good Sun Belt team. And Troy was awful competitive for quite a while too. So yeah, some very good points there. And like Doug alluded to, those Sun Belt Conference teams were not playing any Power 5 schools, to my recollection anyway, in bowl season. I'll tell you another reason why I don't like to get down early. Now, if you're going to get down early on any bowl games, I would recommend doing so either in the college football playoff games or in the New Year's 6 bowl games, because those are bowl games of significance. There's a lot of eyes on those games. Players opting out in those games, very, very, very slim chance of that happening. As a matter of fact, why would you? Because you can enhance your player profile and your draft status by shining under those bright lights. But in other games that do not have a lot of added significance to them, minor bowl games, for lack of a better phrase, if you want to call it that, I would shy away from doing that. And the other thing too, Doug, that comes up, it seems like it happens every year, at least a couple times, is one team goes to a bowl game or a couple teams go to a bowl game and it's a party, okay? They're not taking it seriously. For whatever reason, a coaching staff is pretty lenient in terms of curfews, and they don't take it seriously, and they don't play anything like they played all year, and they underachieve in a bowl game. Number two, the coaching staff does put curfews on it, and the kids press the envelope, and we end up with multiple suspensions on a couple teams, and there you go. What Doug's talking about is those line movements or that end up happening, 4 or 5 point line movements, because 4 or 5 players, starters in particular, get suspended. So that's why I personally do not get down too early on these games that are not New Year's 6 bowl games or college football playoff games. But that's just my preference. Anyway, Doug, you got a free pick for us on Saturday, I understand.
I certainly do, Ross. And my best guess is you're not going to agree with this one. okay, is on this. So we're talking the LA Bowl, and as it turns out, it's the Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl. And no, I'm not kidding. That's what the whole deal is. And not surprisingly, it's going to be on ABC. That's on Saturday night, because I can't Saturday. Sometimes they've had the Las Vegas Bowl. I believe ABC has on the first week, but there's no Las Vegas Bowl this week. So we got the LA Bowl, and we got a he's been pushing it. I've seen some of his shows at night, and so he's pushing this hard. So this is kind of going to be a big deal. We got Utah State against Oregon State, and on the surface, you have a Pac-12 versus a Mountain West team. Should be a mismatch. Oregon State certainly will be motivated. I believe this is their first bowl game, and I want to say 8 or 9 years. So I think that's certainly a positive. And there's no question that Oregon State deserves to be the favorite. Right now, the latest line I saw was -7. But here's one of the things that I look at, and it's something that I look at for every single bowl game, and it has to do with a team's road record. Okay, because you are, other than Hawaii this year, you are playing away from home. And this year, despite playing in the stronger conference, the Beavers are 1-5 straight up and against the spread on the road. Conversely, Utah State is a perfect 7-0 away, and they've covered 6 of those 7 games. The Aggies also come in hot. Okay, they're 7-1 straight up, 5-2. And I think in this situation, for them coming from the smaller conference, being able to play the bigger conference, and in a conference that is in their neck of the woods, like the Pac-12 is, I think they're going to be super motivated to play. And I'll take the 7, Ross. For me, no problem whatsoever here. I'm not saying they're going to win the game, but if they did, I wouldn't be shocked either, to be perfectly honest. I just think right now they're the hotter team. They've proven they can play well on the road, and I'll take them. I'm good to go with them.
So you like Utah State plus the 7.5?
7 is the number that I got. It was
you got 7. Okay.
Line, but yes, at 7, I looked right before we started the show.
So Utah State plus the 7 against Oregon State. Well, you know what? You're looking at an Oregon State team that's 7-5, and they're a touchdown favorite against the Mountain West Conference champion, as Doug alluded to, red hot champion at that. Utah State, boy, oh boy, they crushed, annihilated San Diego State in the Mountain West Conference championship game. That was a San Diego State team that had been in the top 25 for the majority of the season too. So impressive closing to the season for Utah State. So again, Doug likes Utah State -7 over Oregon State. I'm going to look at the, I don't know what's the name of the bowl, but it's Appalachian State at Western Kentucky. I should know the name of the bowl if I'm going to give it out, right, Doug? And that's the Boca Raton Bowl.
Oh, that's right. Yep.
The Boca Raton Bowl. And that game goes at 11 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. And I'm going to look at the total in this game, which is 67. Very interesting here. I'm looking at the number and I'm saying, boy, that's awfully high for an App State game. And I was right, because 12 of 13 games that App State has played this year had a total of 60.5 or less. And this total is 67. Only one App State game had more than 67 points scored this season. So if you're looking at the total, and if App State has ever been in that rarefied air of scoring 67 or more points, well, they only did it once this year. However, Western Kentucky sort of drives that number up because they're just an explosive offensive team, and they know how to speed opponents up. And they don't, they score a lot of points. But they don't, defense is sort of an afterthought for them, Doug. They've scored 41 points or more in their last 6 games and 8 of their last 9. As a matter of fact, they scored 31 points or more in all 13 games this season. And their 2 scoring outputs of 31 points each, which was their 2 lowest scoring outputs, came against Big Ten competition in Indiana and Illinois, I believe. So this team can score. They're going to give up some points. App State likes to play at a slower pace, but like I said, Western Kentucky They play at a rapid pace. They're very difficult to stop. And I like this game to be a high-scoring affair. I just can't believe that this total is this high with the numbers I mentioned with App State. It looks like it'll lock under. It's just never that easy when it comes to sports betting. I'm going to go over the total of 67 in the App State and Western Kentucky game. And Doug Upstone likes, Utah State plus the 7 over Oregon State. Doug, what do you got going on this week? Basketball and football.
Oh, we got all kinds of stuff. But hey, I'm here to talk about, in particular, college football, Ross. And so I'm going to last year, I looked it up literally just before I came on with you. And last year was 8-4 in the bowl season. And I hit all 3 of my top plays. And so Doc's setup was a little bit different. We basically, for the bowl season, we go Thursday through Wednesday. Okay, that's the setup. So with that being the case, so I will have selections this week involved in that range, and that'll be the same through the entire bowl season there. So, hey, you know what? Had, like I said, really good year from that. Coming off, some good results in a variety of sports. So the dull period that I've talked about, okay, that's changing. It's evolving, and so I think it's just going to be the right time to get hot right now and pick up some winners. And I'll have them at Doug Upstone page at Doc Sports, and looking to build on last year's deal with the bowls, okay, because the bowl season is different. Okay, not the regular season. The X's and O's don't change, but the factors that Ross and I were talking about, they're all important. Okay, and that's how you have to put your package together in order to succeed. And that's exactly what Ross and I do when looking at all these bowl games.
Yeah, I go from a technical handicapper, which I've been most of my career, to a lot of intuition comes into play, and a lot of where you look at the situations I was just alluding to, or what players opted out, what teams may not be in the mood to be there against a team like Doug has touched upon, teams that are in the mood or are motivated to play against Power 5 conference teams like a Utah State against an Oregon State. What I can tell you, folks, is I did finish the college football season awfully strong. I had Navy plus the 7 outright over Army on Saturday. I finished the college football season over the last 6 weeks. It's not done, but going into the bowl season, the last 6 weeks, 27-13, which is good for 68%. So I'm red hot going into the college football bowl season. I will have a 10-star top play on Friday. I also will have 5 selections going on Saturday, including a 10-star top play, and another pick on Monday in the college football bowl season. So a huge 3 or 4 days coming up in college football bowl games. And again, folks, friendly reminder, the NFL 13-8 over my last 21 in the NFL, including 10-4 the last 3 Sundays. College basketball and the NBA heating up. NBA top plays this year, 4-1, coming off a 3-2 Saturday in college basketball. So great time of year, Doug. Not only is it Christmas time, but every sport going on all at once. So we'd like to wish each and every one of you a very happy and safe holiday season until Thursday, when we come back with our NFL show. For Doug Upstone and Ross Benjamin, take care and God bless, folks.